You get rich after you believe you can do it.
If it's a must for you, you got to make it work.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
Money isn't just a number in your bank account. It's a sign that you help people. You need to believe you deserve wealth and that you can bring value to people, or you will waste your life working on someone else's dream and feel bitter.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life.
Why would you work hard for something you'll never own and you can get fired from right away?
There's a famous story about a man named Ronald Reed. You've probably never heard of him. He was not a tech founder. He didn't invent a new app. He wasn't born into money. Ronald was a janitor and a gas station attendant in Vermont. He wore old flannel shirts. He used safety pins to hold his coat together. He drove a secondhand Toyota Yaris. When he ate out, he went out to the local diner to have a simple breakfast. To everyone in this small town, he looked like a man who was just scraping by. He looked like he had nothing. But when Ronald died at age 92, the world was shocked. This janitor had an estate worth $8 million.
From Ronald Reed.
Story of Ronald Reed.
What does it take to amass Mr. Reed's $8 million fortune?
How did he do it? He didn't win the lottery. He simply spent less than he earned and invested the difference in the blue chip stocks. He bought shares in companies he knew and understood. He reinvested the dividends. He waited while his friends bought new cars and fancy clothes to look rich. Ronald actually became rich. He understood that looking wealthy and being wealthy are two very different things.
I mean, it's a matter of living a certain way, keeping your lifestyle under control, and being committed.
He lived frugally, and he took all of his extra money, and all he did was buy stocks of household names. When he passed away at 92 years old, he had $8 million that he left behind.
And I know what it feels like to be on the other side of that equation. When I was 19 years old, I had a choice to make. I could have taken the safe six-figure job in investment banking. It was the path that everyone expected me to take. It was the path that guaranteed I would look successful, but I turned it down. I decided to join a startup with two business partners instead. Now, I thought I was going to be a quick millionaire when I had my first business. The reality was a big punch to the face. I was making $300 a month. I was working all hours of the day. I was eating bean salad every day because it was the cheapest food I could find. I couldn't afford to go out for dinner with my friends. I couldn't afford to buy new clothes. I felt like a total failure. I remember waking up in the mornings with the heavy feeling in my chest, wondering what I was doing with my life. I had all this potential, but my bank account said I was worth nothing. I felt like I was worth nothing. I almost quit. I almost went back to that safe job, but I realized that if I quit now, I'd be a quitter for the rest of my life. I had to figure out how to add value. I had to stop focusing on what I wasn't getting and start focusing on who I was serving. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's great for a janitor or for you, Evan, but I have real bills. I have debt. I started too late. The system was rigged against me. Listen to me. The system is only rigged if you play by the rules of the 99%. The 99% trade time for money.
The first thing, if you're going to make money, is that you're not going to get rich renting out your time.
The 99% buy things to impress people that they don't like. The 99% think net worth is about luck. If you want to be in the top 1%, you have to stop thinking like a victim and start acting like an owner.
Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility and your responsibility alone.
You don't need a high income to build wealth. You need a high level of belief and the discipline to back it up.
Work on your philosophy, work on your attitude, work on your personality, work on your language, work on all of your ability. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.
So let's look at the actual numbers for the top 1% by age, and more importantly, let's break down the psychology you need to get there. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. The 20s, the foundation of belief. So if you're in your 20s, the data says the top 1% of households have a net worth of around $650,000. That number might scare you. It might seem impossible. If you're 24 and you have student debt and a starter job, $650,000 feels like a different planet. But you have to look deeper. The people hitting this number in their 20s are not usually saving their way there from a strategy. They're building assets. They're taking risks. Your 20s are not for safety. Your 20s are for aggression. This is a decade where you have the most energy and the least to lose. If you fail now, you can sleep on your parents' couch or you can get some roommates. It's not the end of the world. But most of you are playing scared. You're worried about what your high school friends will think if you start a YouTube channel or some kind of side hustle. You're worried about looking stupid in front of other people. I tell creators all the time, expect to suck. When you start anything new, you are going to be bad at it. That's just a fact. You're going to make a video and nobody will watch it. You're going to launch a product and nobody will buy it. That doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means that you are learning. It took me 350 videos before I wasn't completely embarrassed by my own content. It took me 7 years to get really significant numbers. If I had stopped because I wasn't in the top 1% immediately, you wouldn't be watching this video right here, right now. The 1% in their 20s understand the concept of modeling the master. So when I was struggling with my software business at 19, making that $300 a month, nothing was working. I was trying to figure everything out on my own. I was using my own brain, and my own brain was getting me nowhere. Then I asked myself a different question. I asked, who has done this before? I looked at Bill Gates. He built a huge software company. How did he do it? So I researched his story. I found out that he didn't just sell software, he formed partnerships. He licensed his software to hardware companies. So I said, okay, I'll do what Bill did. Let's give it a try. I stopped trying to sell my software directly to customers one by one. I went to distribution partners and said, hey, here's our software. Can we work together? And it worked. I landed a major deal. My income started to shoot up. My net worth started to shoot up. I didn't get smarter overnight. I didn't get more talented. I just borrowed the belief and the strategy of someone who was already in the 1%. So if you're in your 20s, stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Find someone who has the net worth you want. Find someone who has the life you want. Study them. Read their books. Watch their interviews. Do exactly what they did. You do not have time to make all the mistakes yourself. You have to stand on the shoulders of giants. The 30s, the acceleration phase. By the time you hit your 30s, the game changes. The top 1% net worth jumps to around $2.6 million. This is a massive leap from the 20s. This is where compounding kicks in. This is where the seeds that you planted in your 20s turns into a forest. But it's also the decade where most people get trapped. In your 30s, you probably have a decent job. You might have a mortgage. You might have a family. You have responsibilities now. It becomes very easy to settle for good enough, right? You start playing defense instead of offense. You start trying to protect what you have instead of building what you could have. The 1% in their 30s do the opposite. They double down on their purpose. So I believe that your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with the most in your life is the thing that you are best equipped to help others solve too. When I was building my business, my biggest pain was a lack of belief. I felt like I was the only one going through the struggle. I felt like nobody understood me. And that pain created my purpose. I wanted to build a community and content for entrepreneurs where they can feel supported. I wanted to create the content I wish I had when I was 19. That purpose is still what drives Believe's Nation right now today. If you want to hit that $2.6 million mark, you have to serve a lot of people. You cannot get to the top 1% by being selfish. Money is a byproduct of service. If you're not making the money you want, you are not serving enough people, or you're not serving them deeply enough. So you can look at your life right now. What is the thing that you hate doing? What is the thing that drains you, right? Stop doing it. You'll never become a master at something that you hate. You'll never outwork someone who loves it. The 1% in their 30s are ruthless about delegation. They know that time is worth more than $20 an hour. They hire people to do the lower value tasks so they can focus on their Michael Jordan level genius. You have a genius inside you. You have something you can do better than almost anyone else, but you are burying it under busy work. You are burying it under fear. You need to clear the path. You need to build a team, even if it's just one person. You need to buy back your time so you can invest into your superpower. Also, if you want to take action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description, go grab it. I'll see you there. The 40s, the identity shift. Now we get to the 40s. The top 1% worth climbs to over $4.7 million. At this stage, hard work is not enough. You can't grind your way to $5 million. You have to think your way there. You have to believe your way there. The biggest barrier for people in their 40s is their identity. You have spent 40 years telling yourself a story about who you are. I am a middle-class worker. I am not good with money. I am just a small business owner. Your brain is a machine designed to prove you right. So if you believe you're worth $100,000 a year, your brain will sabotage any opportunity to make $500,000. You will procrastinate. You will get sick. You will find a way to blow the deal. You have to shatter your old identity. So there's a concept called who you are not. You need to look at your life, your identity, your habits, the thoughts, and the actions that are inconsistent with the person who you want to become. If you want to be in the top 1%, you cannot have the habits of the bottom 50%. You cannot watch 3 hours of Netflix every night. You cannot eat garbage food that fogs your brain. You cannot hang out with people who complain about the economy. I'm 45 years old now. I look back at the Evan from 10 years ago and I love him, but he couldn't run my business today. He wasn't strong enough. He didn't believe enough. I had to let that version of me evolve so this version could live. You have to be willing to kill the part of you that is comfortable. Comfort becomes your enemy of growth. The top 1% are constantly putting themselves in uncomfortable situations. They are the dumbest people in the room. They are trying things they might fail at. The moment you think that you've made it is the moment that you start dying. You see people in their 40s who just stop learning. They coast and their net worth flattens out. But the ones who keep climbing, the ones who keep asking, why not me? They're the ones who break through that ceiling. The 50s and beyond, the legacy mindset. So as you move into your 50s and 60s, the top 1% net worth goes to well over $10 million. This is where the separation becomes massive. The average person is worried about having enough to retire. The 1% are worried about what they are leaving behind. It's not just about leaving money for your kids, is about leaving a blueprint. It's about leaving a legacy and about leaving more belief for people, right? Ronald Reed left millions to the local library and hospital. He served his community even after he was gone. That's a 1% mindset. So you have to ask yourself, what are you building that will outlast you? If your entire goal is just to pay your bills until you die, that's a small life. That is a selfish life. Humans are built to serve. It's hardwired into our DNA. When you help someone else out, you get a hit of dopamine and oxytocin. Like, you feel good. The wealthiest people I know are the ones who are most obsessed with their mission. They don't look at their bank account every day. They look at their impact. They know that if they solve big problems, the money will take care of itself. So if you're in your 50s or 60s and you feel like you missed the boat, you're also wrong. Colonel Sanders didn't franchise KFC until he was 62. He was broke at 65. He slept in his car, but he had a recipe and he had belief. He got rejected 1,009 times before someone said yes. So it's never too late to start. Your age becomes an asset. If you're older, you have experience, you have wisdom, you have the scars. Those scars are your credibility. Use them. Your action plan. So how do you actually move from where you are to the top 1%? It's not about a lucky break. It's about 3 specific steps. Step 1, audit your environment. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If your friends are broke, you will likely stay broke. It's not their fault, but their mindset is contagious to you. You need to upgrade your circle. If you can't find people with money to hang out with in person, hang out with them online. Watch their videos, listen to their podcasts, read their books, let their voices drown out the negativity that's in your head. So I try to curate my environment ruthlessly. I don't listen to a lot of the news. I don't listen to gossip. I fill my brain with the thoughts of people who are doing things that I want to do. Step 2, take the first scary step. You are waiting for confidence before you act. That's backwards. Confidence comes after action. You have to do the scary thing first. You have to make the call. You have to post that video. You have to launch the product. Fear is a signal. Fear, it can be your GPS. If something scares you, it means that you probably need to do it. It means there's growth on the other side. If you're not afraid, then you're staying stuck. So challenge for you is to do that one thing today that scares you. Send that email that you've been putting off, ask for that raise, start that business. Momentum is the only thing that matters. There's a saying that you can't steer a parked car, right? You have to get moving. Step number 3, adopt the believe mantra. So when doubt creeps in, and it will, you need a word to anchor you. For me, my one word is believe. It's on my wall, it's on my shirt, it's on everything that I try to do. When I feel like I'm not enough, I tell myself believe. When I lost a $40 million, I told myself believe. When I broke my neck and I didn't know if I would need spinal surgery or not, I told myself believe. Like, you need to train your brain to default to optimism. You need to become your own biggest fan. Because if you don't believe in your own genius, why should anyone else? The gap between you and the top 1%, it's not ability, it's belief. They believe they belong there, and you don't yet. So change your story, and you change your life. The numbers I shared today, they're just benchmarks, right? They're not limits. You can blow past them. You can redefine what is possible for your family name, but you have to start today. You have to start right now. Don't let another year go by where you are settling for less than you are worth. You have Michael Jordan level genius at something. So you got to go find it and go serve the world with it. And then you get paid what you deserve. Your next move. The world is waiting for your leadership. The world is waiting for your value. Stop hiding. Take the insights from this video, look at the data, but don't let that data define you, right? Use it as motivation. Use it to get angry for where you're at. Use it to spark a fire in your belly because you are capable of so much more than you are showing right now. I know it. You know it. So go out there and prove it. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. Now let's learn how ambitious people in their 20s and 30s can win. Most people waste their 20s and they pay for it the rest of their lives. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying it as a warning. Look around at friends or family in their 40s, 50s, 60s. So many wish they could turn back time and do things differently. They played it safe, they followed the crowd, and now they're filled with what-if thoughts. The truth is harsh. If you delay chasing your dreams, you risk waking up one day full of regret. In fact, a palliative care nurse found that the #1 regret of dying people was not living true to themselves, not going after what they wanted. Think about that. The biggest regret at the end of life isn't what you did, it's what you didn't do. So don't let that be part of your story. And I refuse to let it be part of mine. So quick story for me, when I was in my early 20s, I was about to graduate university. I had two options, take a 6-figure dream job in banking or pursue my own startup making zero money, $300 a month. Sounds like an easy choice, right? Everyone told me, take the safe job, Evan. It's a sure thing. But deep down, I knew that wasn't my path. I imagined myself at 40, an old man. At least that's what I thought as a 21-year-old. I thought 40 was super old. And I asked, would I regret not giving my business a real shot? And the answer was yes. And so I pictured myself, 40-year-old me, looking back and saying, you idiot, why didn't you go for it when you had a chance? And I knew I'd rather know and fail than not know at all. So I turned down the big salary and I went for the startup. Why? Because I'm not going to live with regret. I decided I'd rather fail on my own terms than succeed on someone else's. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, easy for you to say, Evan, you're successful now. You don't know how it feels to be me. Oh, I do know how it feels. I've lived that. I went from being a kid who struggled with confidence. You know, heck, in school, I was a B and C student when my sisters got straight A's, to an entrepreneur who almost quit on his dream multiple times. And early on, I was making no money and was too embarrassed to tell anyone about it. I was just too shy, too embarrassed. I felt like a failure and I hid that. And that loneliness almost broke me. But that pain that you're feeling, that doubt that's in your head, it can motivate you if you choose to use it. And I learned that doing it all alone was actually a mistake. Like, don't do it all alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's too devastatingly lonely. The doubt you have is proof that you care. It means your dream matters to you. And if it matters, you owe it to yourself to find a way forward, not run away backwards. So if you're in your 20s or 30s and ambitious, listen, no one is coming to save you. But the good news is, you don't need them to. You have everything you need to get started right now. And today, I'm going to show you how to turn that early ambition into some real momentum. Now let's dive into the 3 things you must do to capitalize on your ambition. Number 1, embrace your early struggles. Find purpose in the pain. So your 20s and 30s are going to punch you in the face. Good. That's the training that you need. The early failures, the confusion about who you are or what you're doing, that is literally forging your future purpose. I learned this firsthand. I struggled a lot as a young entrepreneur. At 19, I was eating beans for lunch every day, making $300 a month and feeling totally lost. I actually told my business partner I quit on the worst day of my life. I felt like I couldn't continue. But that same night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized I couldn't live with myself if I stopped now. So the next morning I walked back in and unquit. Said, I can't quit yet. I need to at least know that I gave it everything. And I decided that if someone else out there had figured this out, then I could too. So I swallowed my pride and I looked for mentors. Not in person, I was 19, I had no connections, but by studying people who did what I wanted to do. So I asked myself, who's got a successful software company? Bill Gates, I thought. So I dove into how Bill Gates started Microsoft, and I discovered Microsoft grew through partnerships, and a light bulb moment went off for me. My company needed a partnership too. So I started messaging people and hustled until I landed my first deal, and boom, I got my first check for $13,500 when I had only been making $300 a month. And that changed everything for me. Not just the money, but it was proof. I remember seeing the money come in. It's like, this worked. I can do it again. And in that moment, my identity shifted. I was no longer a wannabe entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur because I'd proven to myself that I could turn my pain into a result. So the lesson here was, don't cursed difficulties of your early journey, embrace them. That heartbreak when a banker laughs you out of the office or a client rejects you or your family doubts you, that's motivation. I once walked into a bank at 19, all excited saying, "Hi, I started a business. How can you help me?" And the banker basically told me to get lost. Come back when you have 3 years of history or some collateral. And I walked out crushed thinking, oh my God, I'm going to fail. This is ridiculous. It felt like a huge punch to the gut. And I could have quit right there. And a lot of people do quit at that first big rejection. But I didn't. Why? Because I realized that that's just a data point, right? That's not total failure. It's just an opportunity to learn something. That bank rejection taught me I needed another way, which led me to partnerships, thanks to studying Bill Gates. So every painful moment in your 20s is teaching you if you're willing to listen. But more importantly, your pain is pointing to your purpose. So I believe your purpose comes from your pain. The struggles that make you feel like the biggest loser right now, those are the very things you will one day help others overcome. And I know this because it happened to me. I felt so hopeless at 19. I wanted to quit entrepreneurship entirely. And what saved me was immersing myself in mentor stories. I read and I watched everything about Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs, whoever I admired. And I told myself, if they can do it, maybe I can too. That gave me belief when I had none. And so fast forward to today, I eventually built a successful business and even wrote a book called Built to Serve, which is all about turning your pain into purpose. And now my whole mission is to be the resource for others that I wish I had at 19. I still make content for 19-year-old Evan and for the millions of young Evans out there struggling to believe in themselves too. The identity that you're forming right now through your hardships is setting you up to serve other people. So embrace the hardships. They're making you who you're meant to be. So now turn it into a real world tactic. Take a moment to think about the hardest thing that you've gone through or that you're going through right now. And instead of seeing it as something that's holding you back, ask, how is this pain preparing me? Who else out there is going through something similar that I could help, even if it's just by sharing my journey? And when you see your struggle as training and as service, it stops feeling like this impossible weight and starts feeling like a mission. And that mindset transforms your identity from a victim to a leader. Leaders are forged in fire. Your fire is your advantage. Build unshakable self-belief, one challenge at a time. So ambition is useless if you don't believe in yourself. You can have all the dreams in the world, but if deep down you don't think that you can do it, you'll sabotage yourself every step along the way. So how do you build real self-belief in your 20s and 30s when you might not have a lot of success to lean on yet? The answer is to manufacture wins for yourself every day by doing the hard things on purpose. You build confidence like you build any muscle by pushing outside your comfort zone and by proving to yourself that you're stronger than the temptations and these obstacles that are in your way. So let me share a weird example from my life. If you see my videos, you might have noticed a giant unopened bag of Doritos right here behind me on the shelf. And I love Doritos. I could eat that whole bag in one sitting. So why do I keep it in front of me and never touch it? Because it's an exercise that I call damn the Doritos. Most people would say, Evan, if you don't want to eat junk, just remove it from your environment. Get out of the house. But I do the opposite. I leave the temptation right there as a daily test of my will. My mouth is watering right now. Every time I look at that bag and don't grab it, I give a little mental high five to myself. Damn the Doritos. I'm stronger than that bag. It reminds me that I'm in control, that I can do the hard things even when it's hard. I don't rely on crutches like locking junk food away or putting my alarm in another room. No, I want to be the guy who can face temptation head on. I want to be the guy who does the scary, difficult, hard things, not the guy who just avoids them. Why? Because every time you resist a temptation or conquer a challenge, you prove something vital to yourself, that you have the strength to stick to your commitments. The unopened bag of Doritos there, it's a symbol for me. It says my self-control, my mission is bigger than a momentary urge, as delicious as it might be. And let me tell you, that feeling, knowing you're stronger than a silly bag of chips, it's actually incredible. It spills over into everything. If I'm strong enough to resist that, what else am I strong enough to do? Maybe I'm strong enough to make the next scary phone call, to have that tough conversation, to keep going when it's 2 a.m. when I'm exhausted. Self-belief grows by doing the hard things, not by avoiding them. So how can you apply this? You don't need Doritos on your desk, but you do need to intentionally stretch your comfort zone every day. Do one difficult thing every day. It could be as small as taking a cold shower or waking up an hour earlier to work on your side hustle, or calling a client that you're afraid to call. Maybe it's hitting the gym when you'd rather watch Netflix, or posting a video, sharing your opinion, even if you're scared of other people's judgment. Pick your Doritos, the thing that tempts you or scares you, and face it head on, because damn the Doritos. Every day that you do, you're wiring into your brain evidence that, hey, I showed up. I did something hard. And that evidence becomes your armor against the self-doubt. And don't just take it from me. Science backs this up. Psychologists talk about something called self-efficacy, the belief in your own ability to succeed. How do you build it? By accumulating small wins. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how tiny, you increase your self-efficacy. It's like laying a brick in the foundation of this unshakable confidence cathedral that we're building. On the other side, though, every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at that foundation. So you start laying bricks today. You make your bed when you said you would. You finish that chapter you promised yourself you'd read. These little wins are not little at all. They are the structure that will support your big wins later. And also guard your environment. If you struggle with believing in yourself, surround yourself with voices that actually lift you up. This is actually pretty crucial. Your friends, your family, the media you consume, they're either fueling your belief or they're draining it. And I'm very protective of what I let into my head. I like to call it building an environment of greatness around you. So if you don't have inspiring people in your life physically, okay, do it virtually. I did in the early days, and even now, I consider people like Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they're my virtual mentors. How? I watch their interviews. I read their books. I consume their mindset. I still do this every morning. I wake up and I have one of my heroes whispering in my ear to get me going to do the thing. I go on a believe walk every morning, and I have something happening in my head. If I start my day hearing about Steve Jobs talking about innovation, guess what that does to my brain? It starts me off believing more is possible. When you're around big thinking every day, suddenly your challenges seem smaller by comparison. So be very intentional with your inputs. So here's your real world tactic. Curate your intake. Make a list of 5 people who inspire you. They can be entrepreneurs, creators, anyone who embodies the confidence and success that you aspire to. And every day, consume something from that list. Watch a YouTube video, read a chapter of their book, listen to their podcast. I have videos every day on this channel. Let them mentor you from afar. At the same time, limit your exposures to the negative Nancys and the dream crushers in your life, right? You know, the ones who always doubt you, belittle you, say your ambitions are worthless. You don't have to cut them out of your life completely if they're close friends or family, but you can set boundaries around your dream. Protect it. You're building you right now, brick by brick. And as you do these daily challenges and surround yourself with greatness, you'll notice something. The voice in your head that once said, I can't, will start saying, maybe I can. And then I will. And then eventually I am. That's a transformation from self-doubt to self-belief, and it's life-changing. Stay in the game. Patience, persistence, and pivoting. All right, you have embraced the pain as your teacher and you're building your self-belief daily. Now let's talk about time, because my friend, success does not happen overnight. I know you know that intellectually, but when you're in your 20s or 30s, hungry to make your mark, it's hard to be patient. You see people on Instagram flexing their success, you compare yourself, and you feel like you're falling behind. So let's try to rip that pressure off your shoulders right now. You are not behind. You're exactly where you need to be, getting the exact lessons you need to learn. The only way to truly fail is to quit. As long as you stay in the game, you're ahead of 99% of people, because most people quit on their dreams way too early. I started my YouTube channel when I was 28. Do you know how many subscribers I had 1 year in? 25. Not 25,000, just 25. After 5 years on YouTube, I had only a couple thousand subscribers. 5 years, 2,000 subscribers. By all external measures, I was failing. People literally asked me, Evan, why haven't you given up on this thing? And here's why. I wasn't measuring myself by other people's metrics. I was focused on impact, not numbers. I told myself, if 25 people are watching, that's 25 human beings I might be helping. That's pretty cool. I made it about them, the people I was serving, instead of about the people I'm not serving, and about me and my ego. So if I help one person today, just one, then it was worth it. And that mindset gave me the motivation to keep going every day. And one by one, brick by brick, video by video, the audience grew. And today the YouTube channel has 4 million subscribers and has allowed me to build a team, a business, a global belief movement. But it took years before any of that happened. Those first 5 years, I wasn't winning any awards. I was just grinding because I believed in the mission and in the handful of people who showed up consistently. Never underestimate the power of serving small in the beginning. Your journey might look the same. Maybe you launched a business and you only have a few clients, or you started a podcast and only 30 people listen, or you're building an app and only 5 users are testing it. It's easy to think, this isn't working, I should quit. But realize this is exactly how everyone starts. No one emerges fully formed and successful. Every winner was once the underdog. The difference is the winners kept going. They persisted through the silence when nobody was clapping for them. They learned from every single setback instead of seeing it as this sign or signal that they need to stop. So think of it like you're planting a seed. You water it, you give it sunlight, and for a long time, nothing. No visible growth. It's frustrating. But you don't dig it up in frustration because you know growth is happening unseen. Then one day, a little sprout. Business is the same. Progress is often invisible at first. You're getting better, smarter, stronger, even if the world isn't seeing it yet. So give yourself time to grow. Patience is a weapon. Persistence is your superpower. Now, persistence doesn't mean just stubbornly doing the same thing that's not working over and over again. It means keep moving towards the goal, but be flexible in your approach. I persisted towards my goal of helping entrepreneurs, but I pivoted how I did it many times. My first business model wasn't working until I found the partnership strategy. My YouTube content evolved dozens of times before it found its groove and started winning. Be willing to adapt, but don't you dare quit on your mission. Also, ask for help when you need it. This is one of the biggest lessons I learned the hard way. Remember how I said I was too embarrassed and tried to do everything alone? That almost broke me. You might think asking for help makes you weak. I did for a long time, but it's actually a sign of strength. Finding a mentor, joining a mastermind, connecting with peers that are on the same path as you, sharing your struggles, not so they can necessarily solve them for you, but even just to remember that you're not alone and that solutions do exist. When I finally opened up about my struggles, I discovered that most entrepreneurs go through the same early stage pain. That alone made it easier to keep going because I realized I wasn't uniquely cursed or failing. I was just on a normal path of growth. Let me share one more personal story, the lonely phase of my journey. For a long time, I was grinding in silence. My friends had these corporate jobs, steady paychecks, while I was living on peanuts, just trying to get my business off the ground. I was ashamed to admit how hard it was. I thought it would make me look stupid or unsuccessful. So I kept it all in, which was a bad move. It amplified my stress. It made me come this close to giving up. And in hindsight, I should have reached out to friends, to mentors, to someone, anybody. When I finally did start sharing a bit, I found that people actually wanted to help. My business mentor, when I finally got one, told me, Evan, you're carrying a huge weight on your own. You know, you don't get extra points for doing it solo. You're not meant to do this alone. Yes, you have to do the work, but you can and should surround yourself with others who believe in you and can guide you. Even just 1 or 2 like-minded people in your circle can make a world of difference on those days that you want to quit. So build your support system alongside your business. So the real world tactic, commit right now that you will not quit on your vision no matter what, as long as your heart still pulls for it. Write it down as a if-then statement. If I feel like quitting, then I will, right? And then fill in that blank with a concrete action. So you will call your mentor. You will rewatch your favorite motivational video. You will read your positive feedback from customers. You will remind yourself of your why and whatever keeps you going and lights you up. This is your contingency plan for those dark days. Also, you can set micro goals to measure your progress in the early stages. So for example, instead of only measuring revenue, which might be 0 at the beginning, measure how many people that you've helped. Measure how many pieces of content you've created. Measure how much you've improved your product over time. These are wins that you can celebrate to keep yourself motivated, and celebrate them you should. Every small win. Landed your first client? Awesome. Treat yourself to a dinner. Got through a tough week without giving up? Fantastic. Acknowledge it. By honoring the small wins, you train your brain to love progress, and that builds the momentum that you need to go get the big wins. Also remember this. The hero's journey always includes a phase where the hero is flat on their face, right? They're doubting everything. They failed. That's the good part, because when you rise from that, you become the unstoppable hero. Every rejection, every failure, every lonely night, it's building your story. It's giving you the resilience, the grit you need to not only succeed, but to appreciate success when it comes. No grit, no pearl, right? No pressure, no diamond. So stay in the game until you win the game. Refocus. So, hey, look at you. Most people never even seek out advice like this, let alone stick through and actually apply it. But you're here, you did, you showed up for yourself today, and that alone puts you ahead of the pack. So just acknowledge that. That's a great start. You're hungry, you're committed, and you're willing to do the work. And I respect that a lot. Now, as you close this video, it's time to turn that insight into action. Your ambition here is a gift. You guard it, nurture it, Keep feeding it with belief and action every single day. There are going to be days when you crush it and days when you fall flat on your face. That is okay. Keep that vision of 80-year-old you in your mind, the you that will look back and either say, I'm so proud I went for it, or I wish that I had. Every day you decide which story gets written. And today you made a decision. You decided to invest in you. That is huge. So go forward with renewed focus. Embrace the hard times as you're training. Challenge yourself daily to build that unstoppable confidence. Persist when others fade, and never let temporary failure make you permanently quit. You've got something special inside you, and I want you to know it. Your 20s and 30s are just your launching pad. What comes next, the life you build, the impact you have, will be beyond anything you can imagine right now if you stay on this path. Your future self is smiling back at you right now saying, thank you for not giving up. Keep going. You've got this. Now let's learn the path that I would take if I was starting from zero. It has never been easier to get rich from $0 than it is right now. I know that sounds bold. In fact, most people will tell you the opposite, that it's harder than ever, that without money, you can't make money. But the truth is the opportunity this year is unprecedented. We have more tools, more access, more knowledge at our fingertips than any generation before us. And if you refuse to take advantage of that, you'll stay stuck where you are. Do nothing and nothing changes. Worse, you'll look back years from now, full of regret, wondering what could have been. And research shows we regret the things we don't do far more than the things that we try and fail. Let me prove it to you with a quick story. Colonel Harlan Sanders was 65 years old, broke, living on a tiny $100 Social Security check. Instead of giving up, he decided to sell his fried chicken recipe to restaurants. He drove around America, sleeping in his car, knocking on doors, and got rejected 1,009 times. Over 1,000 people told him no. Can you imagine that? Most people would have quit after a dozen rejections, let alone hundreds, but not Colonel Sanders. He refused to give up. And finally, one restaurant said yes. His recipe caught on, Kentucky Fried Chicken was born, and by his late 70s, Colonel Sanders became a millionaire and a global icon, all because he kept going when anyone else would have quit. That is the power of relentless persistence. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great for Colonel Sanders, but what about you, Evan? How about me? Have you ever started from nothing? And absolutely, I want to share a quick personal story. When I was 19, I was a co-founder of a startup that was failing. We were only making $300 a month, and I felt worthless as a human. I was too embarrassed to tell my friends how bad it was, so I just pretended everything was fine while secretly drowning. The pressure built, and at a family Thanksgiving dinner, I hit my breaking point. I told my business partner that I quit. In my mind, I was done. I broke down, was crying at the table, totally devastated. That night was one of the worst nights of my life. But the very next morning, as soon as I woke up, I felt that pit in my stomach, that quitting didn't feel right. And I realized that I could live with failure, but I couldn't live with regret. And I remember telling myself, I can deal with the failure, but I can't deal with not knowing. So I decided to give it one more shot. And I thought, how can I save this business? And I turned to someone who'd already built something huge, Bill Gates. I didn't know him, but I studied how Bill Gates built Microsoft from zero. I learned that in Microsoft's early days, partnerships were the key to their first big growth. So I tried modeling that. I reached out to potential partners and eventually made a deal with a company in the UK to distribute our software. And that one partnership went from making me $300 a month to $13,500. In an instant, I had proof that our business could work. I felt like a millionaire in my head at 19 years old, and we gained momentum and confidence. And a couple years later, my startup was acquired. I went from near rock bottom to a win, all because I didn't give up and I found the model that worked. Now, you might still have doubts. Maybe you're thinking, okay, sure, Evan, you had a business and you had some knowledge. I'm just a person with $0, no advantages. Is getting rich really possible for me? Or this year is a tough time. The economy, the competition, AI is taking over. Isn't it too late for me to start? I get it. The doubt is natural, but look at it from this perspective. Starting from $0 can actually be your greatest advantage. When you have nothing to lose. You can take risks. You can be creative. You can hustle in a way that people with big cushy jobs or big savings, they won't. And remember, nearly 80% of millionaires are self-made. They didn't inherit their wealth. They built it. They started with nothing and they built it from the ground up. And so if the majority of millionaires began with no money, then why not you? The American dream, or whichever country you're from, is alive for those who are hungry enough to chase it. So kill the doubt. You can do this, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So if I woke up tomorrow with $0 in my bank account and had to start over this year, this is what I do to get rich step by step. Let's break it down. Here we go. Step number 1, commit 100% and master your mindset. The very first thing I do is make an unbreakable decision that I am going to become wealthy. You have to commit 100%. No half measures, no maybe it'll work out. You burn the boats. There is no plan B. Why? Because when you're all in, you find a way. Back when I was in university, I had a choice. Take a high-paying job or start a business. Everyone thought I was crazy to turn down the sure thing, but I knew in my gut I'd regret not betting on myself, or at least trying. I remember thinking, when I'm 40 and I'm an old man, I don't want to look back and wonder, what if? I'd rather fail chasing my dream than play it safe and live with the regret. And so that mindset is non-negotiable if you want to go from $0 to rich. And science backs this up. Studies show that people regret the actions they didn't take far more than the ones that they did. So decide right now that you'd rather try and fail than not try at all. And part of this mindset shift is believing that it's possible for you. If you don't truly believe that it can happen, you've already lost. So feed your belief. I call my community here Belief Nation for a reason. Belief is the engine. Every great thing that will happen in your life is on the other side of you believing in yourself even a little bit more. So guard your mind from negativity and surround it with inspiration, with videos, with books, with people who've done it. If I were starting at zero today, I would flood my brain with success stories and positive influences daily. I'd make it impossible for the self-doubt to take root. You have to develop an unshakable conviction that you will win. The other part of mastering your mindset is setting a clear vision and aligning it with what you love to do. So don't just chase money, chase a dream or a business that actually excites you and serves others. Why? Because you'll never win doing work that you hate. Someone else will love it and they will beat you. That's a lesson I've had to live. At one point, years after my first business, I was running a successful website for entrepreneurs. It was making money. It was working on paper, but I didn't love it anymore. My passion had shifted to video and I knew it. So you know what I did? I shut the entire thing down overnight. A website with hundreds of thousands of pages of content, and I moved my whole team to focus on YouTube. People thought that I was nuts to abandon a sure thing, but I knew the real risk was sticking with something I didn't have my heart in anymore. As I like to say, doing something you don't like is the risky thing. The safe choice is to move to what you love. So if I'm starting from zero, I'm first getting my head and my heart in the right place. I commit to the journey. I believe that it's possible. And I focus on a vision that fires me up. With that foundation, you start to lay the groundwork to become unstoppable. Step number 2, find your purpose and solve a real problem. So once my mindset is set, the next thing I do is figure out what I'm going to build or do to create wealth. This isn't about picking a random money-making scheme. It's about finding a mission that is meaningful and valuable to others. You get paid for solving problems. So one of my core beliefs is that your purpose comes from your pain. Look at the toughest challenges or pains that you've overcome in your life, and you'll often find a clue to how you can serve others. In my case, I struggled as a 19-year-old entrepreneur. I felt alone and scared, clueless, lost. That pain became my purpose. Today, everything I do is about helping 19-year-old Evans out there who are struggling. I know what that pain feels like, and I wake up every day driven to try to make it easier for others. You have something like that too. Maybe you grew up poor and learned how to budget and save. Maybe you battled a health issue. Maybe you learned how to get healthy as a result. Maybe you just know a lot about a field or have a skill that you can teach others. Take something you've been through and care deeply about and build around that. When your mission is personal, not just strategy, you'll have the passion to keep going and people will feel that authenticity. But passion alone isn't enough. It has to solve a real problem for people. Money flows to value. So if I'm starting from zero, I'm asking, what problem can I solve that people are willing to pay for? It could be a service, it could be a product, content that addresses a need. Since I have no money, I'd lean towards businesses that require hustle, not capital. So for example, maybe you can offer consulting or freelance using a service that you have, marketing, coding, design, writing, anything. Or you can create content on a topic and monetize it with coaching or ad revenue. The key is to focus on helping others in a concrete way. So the more people you help, the more money you can make. It's that simple. That's entrepreneurship. When I started this YouTube channel, it wasn't to get rich. It was to solve a problem I knew existed. Entrepreneurs needed guidance and inspiration. I provided free value consistently, and eventually the money followed. Through ads, through our programs, through our coaching, opportunities, speaking, book deals. If I had to start over, I'd identify one specific niche or problem to pour myself into. Don't try to do 20 things. You dilute your efforts. focus. So maybe it's launching a simple service business at first to get cash flow and learning while keeping a bigger vision in mind. The idea is to start doing something that helps people, even on a small scale. So think big, but we're acting small to get momentum going. You can always pivot or expand later, but you need to get in the game now. So think about what group of people do you want to serve? Who do you want to be your hero to? For me, it was entrepreneurs. For you, it might be single parents or gamers or local businesses or people who want to get fit. Whatever you have a connection to, find that intersection of what you love, what you're good at or can learn, and what people need. That's your sweet spot. That's where you'll find purpose and profit. And once you have it, you are ready to execute. Step number 3, model the masters. Learn from successful people. Here is a huge shortcut. Whatever goal you have, someone out there has already achieved it. If I'm at $0 and I want to get rich, I'm going to school on people who started from nothing and made it big. I did this with my first business intuitively or out of desperation. I looked at Bill Gates and Microsoft as my model. I literally asked, how did he go from 0 to 1? The answer I found was partnerships. Microsoft's big break came from partnering with IBM. But even before that, Bill Gates was making smaller partnership deals that took Microsoft from a tiny company to a few million in revenue. That insight changed my strategy. I stopped trying to do everything alone, and we'll talk about that later, and started making partnership calls. And as I shared, that led to our first major deal and saved my company. Model success. It leaves clues. This year, this is easier than ever. I would devour biographies, interviews, podcasts, YouTube videos, any content where successful entrepreneurs or investors are sharing how they did it. I'm looking for patterns and strategies. How did they make their first $10,000, their first $100,000? What did they do when they had no money and no credibility? So, for example, many entrepreneurs started by offering their services for free or cheap to build a track record, then leverage that into bigger opportunities. Many built personal brands that then attracted an audience before launching their product. There's no one size fits all, but you will start seeing common themes. So take notes. If you learn that a strategy worked for 5 different self-made millionaires, odds are it can work for you too. And don't just copy the outcome, copy the process. Copy the rise, not the result. Don't get mesmerized by someone else's end success, their mansion, their millions. Study how they rose from the beginning. When I researched Bill Gates, I wasn't looking at how Microsoft dominates now. I was laser focused on how he hustled deals when he was a no-name startup founder. That's the part that applies to me starting at 0. So if I wanted to build a huge YouTube channel now, I'd study how people in my space were making videos now, but also what were they doing when they had 100 subscribers, not when they have 10 million subscribers. If I want to start a clothing line with no money, I'd study someone like Damon John sewing hats in his garage in the early FUBU days. There are blueprints that are out there, so use them. And one more thing, you can turn your heroes into mentors if you can. Consuming their content is great, but if there's any way to get direct access or advice, go for it. That might mean joining a free online community that they run, or engaging in their live stream Q&As, or even offering to work for them for free just to learn. Be bold. The worst they can say is no. The best that can happen is you get a mentor who's already walked the path. Even if you can't speak directly to them, you can immerse yourself in their mindset. So I attribute a lot of my success and confidence to the fact that I spent years surrounding myself virtually with great minds. I would watch videos, and still do, of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Oprah and whoever inspired me every morning. It feels like I'm hanging around them, and it builds my belief. My dad once asked me how I had the confidence to stand next to a multi-billion-dollar CEO in a meeting. It's because I had been living in the minds of great people through videos and books, and their mentality rubbed off on me. You become what you consume. So if I'm starting from 0, I'm consuming greatness and modeling every strategy I can find from people who turn nothing into something. Step number 4, don't do it alone. Get support and ask for help. This one is critical. If I'm starting over, I'm not going to be a lone wolf. Trying to do everything by yourself is a recipe for burnout and failure. And I learned this the hard way in the early days of my startup. I was working nonstop every single day from dark to dusk, and I was getting nowhere. Why? Because I was too proud and embarrassed to ask for help. I thought I had to put on a brave face and figure it all out on my own. And I didn't want my friends to know that I was struggling. So I suffered in silence. And that isolation nearly broke me. I eventually quit for a day because I felt so alone and defeated. And I'll tell you right now, just don't do that. Don't make it harder by trying to be a hero all by yourself. If I'm at $0 from day one, I tap into every source of support that I can find. Find a community of like-minded people. That could be an online forum, a school group, a Discord community, a local meetup of entrepreneurs, anywhere you can talk to others on the same journey. Share your struggles and wins. Ask questions. You'll be amazed how many people actually want to help if you just ask. I'd also look for a mentor, a coach who's willing to guide me. It could even be a peer who's just a few steps ahead of you. Swallow your pride and ask. Don't do it alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's too devastatingly lonely. And that's an honest truth. Humans are not meant to endure hardship alone. And building wealth from zero is definitely a challenge with ups and downs. So surround yourself with people who uplift you. Even if it's just one friend who checks in and believes in you, it makes all the difference. Also, consider partnerships. If you lack certain skills or resources, partner with someone who complements you. My first business probably wouldn't have gone anywhere if I didn't have business partners. I had two co-founders who were technical and I was more on the business side. And that partnership was key. I couldn't code bio software and they didn't hustle the deals that I was doing. If you find the right person to team up with, you can 10x your progress. Just make sure you share the same values and the same vision. Don't partner just for the sake of partnering. Choose wisely, but don't be afraid to do it. And don't forget your friends and family. They might not understand your business, but they can provide emotional support. Tell the people close to you what you're trying to do and why it matters so much to you. I know it can be scary to admit you're struggling or say, hey, I need help, but it's so important. In my case, once I finally opened up about how hard things were, it removed a huge weight off my shoulders. I realized I wasn't going to be judged. In fact, people wanted to encourage me. If I could go back to my 19-year-old self, I'd shake him and say, tell your friends you're having a tough time. It's okay. There's no shame in being at the beginning. Everybody starts somewhere. So build your support system. Find believers who will cheer you on. Seek out advisors who have the knowledge that you lack. Leverage other people's strength and their networks through partnerships. When you have a team, whether it's a formal team or just your informal circle, you will go farther and handle the setbacks so much better. We rise faster together. Step number 5, take action. Start small and improve quickly. When you're starting from zero, speed of implementation is everything. You can't afford to sit around perfecting your plan for months. You need to do things and learn on the fly. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was over planning. Early in my startup, I spent an entire summer writing a detailed business plan, refining every little detail, and making it look perfect on paper. I was so caught up in planning, I wasn't actually doing the sales or iterating on the product. And guess what? We missed a huge opportunity because of that. A big company came looking to buy businesses like ours, but we hadn't made enough real progress, and we lost that deal to a competitor who had been executing while I was just writing my business plan. And that competitor got bought for $40 million, and we got nothing. That stung. I learned my lesson. Ideas are worth nothing without action. So I vowed to never let perfection slow me down again. So version 1 is better than version none. You don't need to have everything figured out just to start. You just need to start. So if I'm at $0, I'm launching quick and dirty. Have an idea for a product? Awesome. Create a minimum version of it this week and get it in front of people. Offering a service? Awesome. Start pitching clients today, even if you're not 100% ready. Make a basic free website or even just a social media page and put yourself out there. It might not be pretty. That's okay. You'll refine as you go. Action produces information. You'll learn more in 1 month of doing than in a year of thinking about it. My YouTube channel is a great example. My first videos, they were terrible. I was awkward on camera. I had really bad editing skills. I had tiny views, but by making videos, I learned how to make better videos. We've now done 10,000 videos, but I have to make the first 350 bad ones to start getting good. Imagine if I had waited until I knew what I was doing. I'd still be waiting right now. So don't be afraid to fail in small ways. Think of it as testing, not failing. Try different approaches and see what sticks. Most of your ideas will not work, and that's fine. As I remind myself, you've got to get out there and test your assumptions. Most of your plan is going to fail or go wrong anyway. And that's not pessimism. That's reality. The sooner you find out what does not work, the sooner you can double down on what does work. So treat it like an experiment. You launch, you learn, you adjust, you repeat. Each cycle, you're getting closer and smarter to that jackpot. One more tip. Prioritize actions that get you revenue or users quickly. When you have $0, you want to validate that someone will actually pay for what you do as soon as possible. Don't spend 6 months building something in a vacuum only to find out that nobody needs it. Do the simplest version and see if you can get one customer, one sale, or even just one user giving you feedback. That early validation not only teaches you, it also gives you a psychological boost. Hey, someone wants this. So, example, If I was starting a consulting business, I'd rather land one small paying client next week than spend weeks polishing a fancy website with no clients. If I'm creating a product, I might pre-sell it, offer it, and see if people buy, then build it later, rather than build the whole thing hoping people come. This way, cash starts flowing sooner, which you can reinvest and you avoid wasting time. The bottom line is take action imperfectly. You're gonna make mistakes. That is inevitable, but you can't steer a parked car. You've got to get moving to gain any momentum. Every successful entrepreneur has a trail of errors and failures behind them, but they learned and kept going. So will you. Launch now, improve later. Done is better than perfect. Step number 6, build your brand and attract opportunities. Your personal brand and online presence are incredibly powerful and they're basically free to build. So if I have to get rich from $0, I am going to leverage the heck out of internet and social media to create opportunities. And when I say build your brand, I don't mean you need a fancy logo or a perfect Instagram profile. I mean, share your journey and provide value publicly so that people know who you are and what you stand for. This does a few things. So first, it builds trust and reputation. So if you consistently put out helpful, authentic content that's in your field, people will start to see you as an authority or at least someone worth paying attention to. What that does is it leads to customers, it leads to partnerships, it leads to investors. Second, it creates a community of people around you, which is also incredibly valuable. Remember step 4 about not doing it alone? A loyal audience is a kind of support network and brain trust. Third, it attracts opportunities that you could never predict. So my YouTube channel, for example, has brought speaking gigs and book deals and consulting offers and friendships with people that I admired, all because I just started sharing content. So if I'm starting from 0, I'd start creating content immediately, likely on the platform where my target audiences hangs out. So if I'm targeting professionals, maybe that's LinkedIn. If it's a younger or broad audience, maybe it's TikTok or YouTube. For me personally, I love YouTube because I am a visual learner and I believe video is the most powerful way to connect with people. So that's why I started a YouTube channel in the first place. I thought if I can make videos to help other entrepreneurs not struggle like I did, it would be more impactful than writing blogs. And when you make content, focus on serving your audience, not just selling. Share lessons, document your journey, teach what you know, even interviews with other experts. Become a value machine. Now, you might wonder, so how does this make me money? Directly at first, it doesn't, and that's okay. Think of building your brand as you're planting seeds, and over time, those seeds grow into a farm, an orchard that bears fruit for years. And the more people who know you in a positive light, the more people you can ultimately do business with. As one of my mentors told me, the more people know you, the more people you can serve. And the more people you serve, the more success you're going to have. It's a pretty simple equation. I had to get over my initial shyness about putting myself out there. I used to be afraid of being on camera or being the face of anything. I didn't want the spotlight. I'm an introvert. But I had a great agent who reframed it for me. He said sharing my story wasn't about ego. It was about service. Reaching more people meant helping more people. And that clicked for me. So remember, promoting yourself is really promoting the mission and value that you offer. If you're coming from a place of wanting to help, then you should be eager to be known because you can make a bigger impact and income if you are known. So practically, I would set a schedule for content, just like I would for any work task. Maybe I commit to posting 2 YouTube videos or 3 TikToks a week, or writing a blog post every week, whatever format plays to my strengths. Consistency is key, which we'll talk about in the next step. And don't worry about being perfect here either. Your content will improve as you do it. My first videos were awful, and we've talked about that. But by video 100, I was a lot better. And by video 1,000, I had a real community. Give yourself permission to be messy at the start. And one more thing, engage with your audience. When you're small, you have the advantage of being able to respond to every comment, talk to followers one-on-one, build real relationships. Those early community members can turn into your biggest advocates, your first paying clients, or just a source of great feedback and encouragement. I can't tell you how many times a random comment or message from a viewer gave me a breakthrough idea or just the motivation to keep going. And even now, I consider my audience part of my team. You guys, I listen to your needs and questions and your comments. I still look at all of them and it helps guide what we do next. So build your brand. It doesn't have to cost money, just time and courage. Show the world who you are and what you stand for. Become the go-to person in your space, even if that space is tiny at first. And over time, this becomes a massive asset. Your brand will start to open doors for you while you sleep. Opportunities will start coming to you instead of you always chasing them. That's when momentum really kicks in. Step number 7, be consistent. Hustle with patience and persistence. This might be the most important of all. Never give up. Consistency and persistence are the superpowers that turn small efforts into massive results. If I'm starting from zero, I know I'm not going to become a millionaire overnight. It's going to take time, probably years of showing up every single day. And I'm prepared for that. You have to be in love with the process, not just the end goal of being rich, because it's the daily grind, the repeated actions that actually create wealth. So first, some perspective. It took me 7 years of making videos on YouTube to get to 38,000 subscribers. 7 years. Most people would have quit way before that. And today the channel has over 4 million subscribers. But those first 40K, it was the hardest grind because the growth was so slow. Why didn't I quit? Because I wasn't focused on the numbers. I was focused on helping one person at a time. I always say, focus on who you're serving, not who you're not. If 50 people watched the video, I was grateful for those 50 and I gave them my all. I even imagined those 50 people in a room. That's a pretty decent crowd. It just kept me motivated because I knew if I could impact 50 people, I could grow it to 500, then 5,000, and so on. So I just reframed what others see as only a few as an opportunity to connect more deeply with a few. And over time, consistency plus patience equals exponential growth. Those small numbers multiply if you keep going. So whatever path you choose to be wealthy, be it a business, a YouTube channel, investing, anything, treat it like you're watering a tree. You don't see much happening at first, right? Maybe just a tiny little sprout. But if you get frustrated and you stop watering, the sprout dies. But if you keep at it, day after day, eventually that tree will grow roots and then shoots, and then it's towering above you, right? There's a great parable about the Chinese bamboo. It spends 5 years underground with no visible growth, and then in a few weeks, it shoots up to 90 feet. All that time, it was building a root system. Your work is building the root system even when you can't see much of the surface. So don't quit before the miracle happens. That means you need persistence and adaptability. Persistence doesn't mean doing the same thing that's clearly not working over and over. It means not giving up on the goal, but being willing to try new tactics instead. If something isn't working, tweak it and stick with the overall mission. So in my case, I was persistent about making content to help entrepreneurs. But I constantly experimented with formats and titles and styles until things started to click. You keep the mission constant and the methods flexible. Also, and this is sometimes hard, celebrate small wins to keep yourself motivated. When you're starting from zero, $100 sale, 100 views on a video, it's a win. Recognize that and use it as extra motivation. I used to literally dance around my room when I got a new client or when a video did better than the last one. So let yourself feel proud of progress, even if it's tiny. What it does is it keeps a positive mindset and it helps build your resilience. Too many people only celebrate the end goal and ignore the journey, but the journey is all we have for a long time, so you have to enjoy it. And let's be real, there will be days, there will be tough days, days when nothing is working, days when you question why you're even doing this in the first place, and I've been there more times than I can count. And on those days, remember your why. Remember that bold commitment you made in the beginning, the vision that fired you up, the people that you want to help, the life that you want to create for yourself and your family. Remember that every setback is just temporary. It's part of your story. Sometimes when I would feel like quitting or giving up, I'd literally rewatch my favorite motivational videos or revisit the success stories that I mentioned earlier just to reset my mindset. I call a friend who understands entrepreneurship and talk it out. Do whatever you need to do to keep yourself in the game. As long as you don't stop, you haven't failed. You're just not there yet. Consistency also applies to your habits and your routine. So getting rich from zero might require a lifestyle change. You may need to cut back on leisure and double down on work for a while. And I'm not a fan of 24/7 grind with no rest. I believe in sleep and family time and taking care of your health, but you will need to put a lot of hours and probably sacrifice some comfort. The good news is if you pick a mission that you actually enjoy, right? Back to step 1 and 2, the work can be fun and fulfilling, not drudgery that drains you. So I love what I do. So Working a 16-hour day sometimes doesn't even feel like work. I've also structured my life to maintain balance. So I schedule a day for family, a day for being the CEO, a day for content. So I'm fully present in that area. And what it does is keeps me disciplined, right? That kind of discipline keeps me going long-term without burning out. When you're consistent, you also learn how to be efficient and organized. You find ways to do more in less time because you have to if you're repeating tasks every day. So embrace the process of optimization. The difference between the person who gets rich from nothing and the one who doesn't is often just that one kept going when the other stopped. So be the one that keeps going. Remember Colonel Sanders getting rejected 1,009 times. What if he stopped at 1,008? Remember me making 350 videos that went nowhere. What if I stopped at 349? The world would have never seen what we had to offer, and I don't want that for you. So persist, keep showing up, hustle with faith and patience. If you do that, your success becomes inevitable. It's just a matter of when, not if. So there you have it. That's exactly what I do to go from $0 to rich this year. It starts in your head and your heart with total commitment and belief. It moves through finding a purposeful path, learning from the best, surrounding yourself with support, taking fast action, building your reputation, and never, ever giving up. This isn't a get-rich scheme. It's a get-rich-for-sure plan if you work it and give it time. The fact that you're here, showing up, learning, means you're already ahead of most people. You're hungry and you're willing to do the work. And I respect that so much. Your journey from $0 starts now. And I promise you that if you stay consistent and you keep believing, you're going to amaze yourself with where you end up. To learn from some of the boldest minds that inspire greatness, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. Imagine stepping on the campus and rubbing shoulders with the future co-founder of Wikipedia. Or playing pickup basketball with the guy who'd one day build a TV empire beaming into 400 million homes.